24-hour gyms. Got to be a good thing, right? Even if you don't use them, there's no downside. Well, maybe, maybe not. That's what we're going to be discussing on today's video. So let's take a seat and get into the details. Hey there, and thanks for joining me in this latest video in the series of videos of the gym paradox, the pros and cons of joining a gym. If you haven't seen any of the other videos in the series, then there are plenty of them up on the channel and you can check them out at your leisure. And as always, I will leave a link to the original piece of content in the description below, which is up on DCSfit.com, and that's a piece of content that all these videos are based on. And while you're down there, if you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button, that would really make a difference. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, that would be great too. I've noticed that less than half the people who watch these videos are subscribed to the channel, so hit that subscribe button. And if you want to get a notification as soon as a new video drops, then hit that notification bell. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about 24-hour gyms and are they a good idea? Now, that might not seem worthy of a video entirely of its own because, of course, they're a good idea. If you don't want to use the 24-hour part of it, just use it as a normal gym. But the extra hours are there, so you can take advantage of them if you want to. If you don't, they're not doing anyone any harm. Well, maybe, maybe not. In the last video, we talked about deals and special offers and the idea that just because you're saving money on a deal doesn't necessarily make it a good one. Quite often, when you get something, it's to the detriment of something else. And I think that is maybe to a slightly lesser extent, but I think that is the case here. And so I'm just looking at the idea of whether or not all 24-hour gyms are things that we should be supporting, whether or not this is a model we should be moving towards, or whether it's something we should be resisting because of the negative connotations that it brings with it. Now, think about it this way. What does it take to open a 24-hour gym? The building has to be lit, it has to be heated, there has to be potentially staff there. There certainly probably has to be someone there, surely just for security reasons. I don't think that's always the case, but you would think that in a normal model or a sensible model, there would be someone there at least. There would be some kind of monitoring going on that maybe wouldn't need to happen if there was always people there. And so there's all these extra things that have an expense against them. And what's the trade off? How many people are jostling to get in at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning? And that's really where this trade off comes from. Is there enough people saying that they want this in order to justify the costs that go with it? Well, you might think, well, the argument is here that why would the business do it otherwise? If there was no justifiable cost to it, why would they do it? Well, the simple answer to that is because it overcomes objections. At the point of signing someone up to a gym, quite commonly, and I know this from experience, people will then come in and start using reasons at the last second not to sign up. They really wanted to do it in their heads and they thought, well, I'll go down, I'm really keen, I'm really excited. But now that it's come to crunch time, they're realizing they're going to have to take action. Something inside says, nope, nope, not for me. I need to back out of this somehow, and I need to back out in a way that I can save face. So you start trying to search for things that are not going to work for you. So by using the time that's available for the gym as the reason why you can't go, then that's an objection that's perfectly valid. Oh no, I actually can't make it at those times, or I'm not always going to be able to make it at those times. Therefore, I'm really going to have to think about this, and out the door you go. When you've got a 24-hour gym, you don't have that objection anymore. So now it's quite hard to walk away. And when 24-hour gyms are most commonly associated with budget gyms, then it makes it even harder because now you're saying, well, you can't object to the price because it's so cheap. You can't object to the times because it's 24 hours. What do you have left? There's not a whole lot left to you. What were you expecting when you came through the door? You can't really walk out and save face at that point. And that's kind of problematic because essentially what's happening again is someone who didn't really want to sign up is now feeling kind of obliged to, and they just feel bad about themselves if they were going to walk away from that. So now they're signing up, but the chances are that's the kind of person, once again, who's not going to show up. Where I have seen benefits are, for example, taxi drivers. And this is a very genuine benefit that I see for 24-hour gyms. I've known some taxi drivers that have spoken to me about the idea that their busy times are really, particularly on a Friday and a Saturday, they're going to be busy taking people out to the pubs and restaurants and that kind of thing most of the afternoon, going into evening time. And then when the pubs close, they've got another busy period, a particularly busy period, because there's so many people all coming out at once, and most people are looking for a taxi at that point. So they need a taxi to get home. But then you've got nightclubs as well. And it might well be that the busy time of picking people up from pubs was actually taking them from a pub to a club, or it might have been just before that dropping people at clubs. But now there's a lull where there's not a big swathe of people going in or out of a club between midnight and about 3 a.m. So, what does the taxi driver do in between times when it's quiet? There's nothing else happening, but they know they're going to get this big wave of people looking to get home, and they've been drinking all night, so they need a taxi. That's when they're going to get paid. So it's useful for them to hang around for that. But in the meantime, that sort of 1 a.m., 2 a.m. lull, what are they meant to do with it? They could just sit in their taxi, eat, read a newspaper, that kind of thing, and quite a lot do. But I do know of many people who drive taxis who have ended up saying, well, okay, I've got a gym membership, it's 24-hour gym, and I go in and I train at 1 a.m. And that's perfect for them because it fits ideally into the layout of their working life. But that's very rare. That's one industry, and I'm not sure that there are too many others that is the case. On the flip side of that too, if they're generally working those evening shifts, there's nothing really to say that they couldn't have gone to the gym before they started. So maybe at 4 p.m. or something like that. That there are other options, and that's generally the case with most people. No matter what your shift patterns are, you're going to be working for the most part, and I know there are some exceptions, but for the most part, people should be working to the Working Time Directive, which states that you shouldn't be working more than 48 hours a week on average. The problem with that is it's on average over 17 weeks, so that you could get lumped with an awful lot of hours for a month or two, and then you get a month off or something. Theoretically, that's possible. And maybe you don't want to be going without going to the gym for that long. But the problem with that is that if you're working that hard, where's your recovery coming from? If you're literally working to the point where you can't get into the gym for the 90 or 100 hours a week that it's open, which is a lot of hours, then if you literally can't get in because you're so busy, then when's your downtime where you would recover from your gym session anyway? So, really, is it the most beneficial thing for you to be joining a gym or to be a member of a gym for that period? One of the reasons why many people might end up in that position is because they've just got the membership at that point, but they're going to use it at times when they do have more time. But if that's the case, then you don't need the 24-hour gym. You see where I'm coming from? It's the idea that for a lot of people, it's just an excuse to get out of not going. It gives somebody a reason not to go in the first place. The other thing is that I feel that it can bring in a lot of bad habits. If you know that the gym's open 24 hours, you can keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. I'll go later, I'll go later, I'll go later. If you know it's closing soon, you have to get going. The other main objection I have to the 24-hour model is it's used quite often as a get-out clause, really, for the facility. They're so busy, so jammed packed by this budget model that's cramming so many people in that if you don't want to be in around it, then the answer is, oh, well, you have to come earlier. But how much is earlier? Because, a lot of people start coming at 7 o'clock, and now that's really busy. So now it becomes 6:30. That becomes really busy. 6 o'clock, that becomes really busy, until you're really pushing people at the limits of what they're capable of doing. And you see it all the time in social media where people are going, hey, look, I've got the gym all to myself. And you look at the time, it's 4 a.m. or 4:30. Well, great, that's brilliant because you're so dedicated that you're willing to get up and go and do that. And to some people, that's going to be the best time of the day to drop in at like 5 o'clock in the morning, get the workout done, and that's it. They're set up for the rest of the day. But that doesn't mean to say it can't be done at other times. It's just the model is forcing people to go and do it at that time. I just think that it's another way of forcing the issue that, well, yes, okay, we're very cheap and we've got thousands of people and it's difficult to get in at this time, but there's always a time you can get in. It might not be a good time, it might not be a healthy time for a lot of people, but it's there. One of the other negatives when it comes to 24-hour gyms, particularly when it's an unmanned 24-hour gym, is that it can be used for other things. So if all you need to get into the building is a fob or a key or whatever it is it's going to get you in the building at that time, then it can quite often be a congregation space for some people, and that's not going to be great for the other people that are in training. I am aware of a couple of 24-hour gyms that were in a city centre where it was really used as a how do I put this delicately? Somewhere to go after you had been to a club. When you've hooked up with someone in a club and you head to this local place that you just happen to have the keys for to go and find some private space in a bathroom or something in this local place. Or it could just be somewhere where people just go in because it's dry. They're waiting for a taxi or something, and they just go in there and they're just into to be dry. It's not really making use of the facility for what it's there for, and it is really, I feel, to the detriment of that facility because other people then don't really want to be going in. It's either the intimidation levels are now scary, or it's just something they just don't want to be around, or they can feel intimidated by the people that are just kind of saying, the what are you looking at kind of thing. So I'm not going to dwell on that for too long, but it is something that has happened. I'm aware of that has happened. To what extent it still happens, I don't know. But if you literally have access to a place and you can get in and out and it's not really manned, that would be a bit of a worry. So it benefits some people. It definitely benefits the taxi drivers I spoke to. It definitely benefits very, very dedicated people who just want to train at 5 o'clock in the morning. There's nowhere else that they could go, and that's where they would train no matter what, and they want to get it done before their day starts. There's definitely benefits there. But in the way that it is at the moment, I just feel that it's kind of there more to rip people off or to try and overcome those objections in order to make sure that person parts with their cash and guilts them into becoming members rather than being of benefit to people. But this is one that is very much open for debate. So if you're in a position where you feel that I'm completely wrong here, I'd love to hear about it. So down in the comments below, please leave a comment or get in touch. I'm definitely open to further opinion on this, and will happily update the original article, based on any feedback that I get. So let me know what your thoughts are on this, because I'm really keen to hear. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about frustrations that are commonly found in gyms, what you might be able to do to overcome some of them, but also why they're predominantly your fault. Yep, it's not the owner's fault, it's not the setup of the facility, it's yours. And you might feel that that's pretty harsh, but if you're ever someone that has complained about anything that happens in a gym facility, then you really need to watch the next video. But don't worry, I'm not going to be wagging the finger or playing the blame game. It's really just to give, as always, a more balanced view of why these things happen and what we can do to change about it. So I hope to see you in that next video, but until then, have a fantastic week, stay awesome, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.